Testing. Okay. This is a relay. Let me make sure the audio is working. Where is that? Okay. Audio is working. Let me get back to this. So this is a relay. I'm going to point out the parts in here first so there's no confusion. This is let me title it. Okay, so it's a relay, and its function is to throw two power sources and two poles on those two power sources, meaning the positive and the negative poles of each battery. Let's say it's a battery. All right, enough of that. Where is the ink? Okay. All right, now that I got everything going here, the relay, here are the parts. These blue circles are two magnets stuck together by natural attraction. Let's say you have the north on this magnet facing up, and on this other magnet you have the south. And that's the north on top of the magnet. So they're going to stick together naturally. And the yellow stuff you see there right here, these yellow pieces, this yellow ring here, they're round magnets. So these yellow pieces is pieces of mica insulator. So they insulate the two magnets from each other, but more necessary for them to insulate these orange bars here. These orange bars right there. These are conductive bars. They're insulated from each other. There's two of them. They're sandwiched in the middle, in between these two magnets that are stuck together. And the inside faces of these two magnets are insulated with mica so that the two bars remain insulated from each other. And you have a one-piece magnet encasing two brass bar contacts or copper, whatever you want to use, welding rods. And then here's some more of the same bar material. The goods come a little bit later. I'm going to show you how this magnetic thing reed will work with two coils, and it's designed to drive two coils also. So here's your input side and your two loads. Here's one battery source. Here's the other battery source. So you have two sources being toggled here. What happens is, and you can see that the bars here have their contact points, you know, and they basically, this touches here and this touches here when it moves up. Okay, I'll get to the part where how it moves. So you have an electromagnet underneath this, under here, you have an electromagnet. And you have another electromagnet up here. Sorry. Excuse my drawing. Okay, so you have two electromagnets. Now, in one state, this relay is by default in the on position. Let's assume that's the down state. So if this is a core of iron right there, give me a second here. Let's see here, go to green. If this is iron core there, inside that electromagnet, and let's say the core is the same dimensions as this magnet. For the drawing's sake, I drew it a little smaller. Well, no matter what pole is facing that core, it's a magnet, so it's going to stick to the core, right? And that will pull the contacts down. These contacts here. These two bars, you know, they'll get pulled down. So these magnets are basically stuck together, and they're in a tube or something to hold them in place, and you know, like so, inside of a tube. And you have two electromagnets on each side to either push the contacts up or push the contacts back down. So in the default on state, assuming that's down and the contacts are here, let's say it's contacting here right now on the input and the output, and you're sending plus and minus from the bottom battery. Just let me throw this in there. It's designed for this system here, okay? Two coils, two sources. Let me go back now. So let's say right now it's being charged. One of the coils is, you know, those coils you saw is here on the output of these contacts, and that's how you're going to energize that coil. When this relay is pulled down in the down position, this source here is going to feed it over to the other side. So you're going to send power from here over to here. And then you can energize whatever you want on this side right here. Now, that's the default position. And the default position, this is the coil that you're going to have energized in that. This is the coil, right? So you connect it here. And you energize that coil in the default down position, where the contacts are like so. And when that coil gets energized, it will push the magnet away. This blue magnet will move up to the other position. And it will take this load here now, and it will make these contacts connect. And I think you guys are getting the drift by now. And it'll send this source power over to whatever load you want to give it, and that should be the coil on top right here. Why should it be that coil? Because when you do power up this coil, it will then push this magnet back down. And by doing that, you de-energize the coil also. And you allow the magnet to head towards the other core and stick to it in its default position. So that requires placing the bottom electromagnet and its core a little closer to the bottom magnet to maintain that default position, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this is a solid state way of triggering. Some of you may have to replay this video. I know I will. And I replayed this in my head a few times, but this is a solid state way of triggering two coils back and forth in alternating fashion. They're not energized at the same time. And it's to run this system here. And again, you could place your drive coils 45 degrees apart around a rotor if you want to drive a rotor at whatever speed it runs at in solid state, because this is solid state here. So as soon as you turn the power on, it's going to turn itself off according to this way of doing it. And it will turn off, the bottom coil. But, mind you, to get the bottom coil, the bottom electromagnet to push this magnet up and turn off itself, it first needs to have a magnetic field created here on the core that opposes the field of the bottom magnet here. And that will push the bottom magnet up and remove the contacts from here. Okay. I'll revisit this if it's necessary, if anybody wants me to revisit it. But yeah, I wanted to jot this down real quick and get this idea out there in the video, because it's a lot easier to explain and also a lot easier to record in case I happen to forget. So again, this is a mica insulator down here. These are two mica insulators to insulate these two magnets from each other, and also to insulate these two contact bars from each other, because when they're touching the magnets, they'll be making contact. And this is the reason I had the bars in the middle is because, for you to be able to have this magnet as close as you can get it to your electromagnet core, you kind of don't need anything in your way. So if you had the bars placed down here, for example, they'd be in your way, kind of, to make a good contact there. And this just works better. It makes it more easier to accomplish. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hi, Lulu. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will keep working at this idea. Let me scroll through the one more image here. This is the commutator design doing the same function, only it's not solid state. It's a rolling or turning device. So the commutator will have to rotate on a shaft or something like that. And on this commutator, you can see I replaced those two bars in the other diagram by using these 4 bars. And you can see one bar lands over here to connect the two negatives together. One negative is attached to source. The other negative is attached to load. And here's the positive. Again, one positive is attached to source. The other positive is attached to load. You can see this positive is attached to the battery. And then that's how you energize the coil, with toggling both the poles, the positive and the negative, which is required if you want to run this Bedini flyback loop circuit. On these batteries here, by the way, you can put as many as you want in parallel. That way, when there's a flyback event, if the battery that happened to be the load battery, there'll be other batteries in parallel that we're not loading. And, the load is so minimal that, milliamps, it's not like a concern. But anyway, if you have a bunch of batteries in parallel, it's better. Same thing goes for this side. Because, you're creating high voltage flyback, and you can spread that out on multiple batteries. And that sums it up. There's the the double source throw, double pole throw, magnetically controlled with two electromagnets, one on each side, to move the magnets up and down. These two magnets. You can do this with one magnet, and drill holes in one magnet, stick the two contact rods through the holes. But, it's easier to just epoxy two magnets together. And mind you, you also need to insulate those rods. So doing it with one magnet and two holes in the magnet is a little more complicated when you have to insulate the two rods. All right, I'll cut this short here. Hope you enjoyed. Over and out. Talk to you guys later.